Dear friends, hello again. Over the past few weeks, I've been closely watching every move around Ukraine, every maneuver, every statement, every quiet shift in posture from Washington, Moscow, and Brussels, and the impression I'm left with, it's crystal clear. It's disturbing. It's not what most people are hearing on the news. The United States, under Donald Trump's leadership and more importantly, under its new deep power structure, is not actually aiming for peace in Ukraine. No, peace is not the goal. Neither is victory for Ukraine, not even a stable Europe. What they want, what they're really working toward, is something far more strategic, a subjugated Europe, a Europe that is weak, dependent, frightened, and completely under American control. They believe there are two main paths to this outcome, and right now, they're testing the first one. Here's how it works. America is pushing Europe closer and closer to the edge of direct conflict with Russia. They're dragging the continent into a nightmare, one step at a time. They create chaos, then pretend to offer order. They stir up fear, then offer protection at a price. It's a geopolitical racket. The United States is playing both arsonist and firefighter. They fuel the flames, then show up with a bucket of water and a smirk. And now, they're preparing to step back, strategically, not in defeat, but as part of a carefully scripted performance. Trump's messaging is already shifting. He's laying the groundwork. Soon he'll say, "We tried, we really did, but peace couldn't be reached. Now it's up to you, Europe. You talk to Putin, you figure it out." And when that moment comes, Europe will be alone, face to face with the Kremlin. Alone, vulnerable, and unsure of what comes next. Just recently, I read a statement from Timofey Bordachev, a key Russian analyst, close to Putin's circle. His words confirmed everything. But we'll come back to that in a moment. Let's talk about the second path. The longer-term strategy that most people have completely missed. Not long ago, something shocking happened and barely anyone paid attention. Donald Trump hosted Israel's far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir at his personal mansion. A warm private dinner, smiles, toasts, handshakes. It was no ordinary meeting, it was a clear sign. Ben-Gvir is not just a hardliner, he's a fascist, an open advocate for racial supremacy, a man who supports apartheid and policies that echo genocide. And there he was, honored in the home of a U.S. president. Why does this matter? Because it shows that America's new ruling class is aligning with a very specific ideology. Not democracy, not human rights, but power, expansion, control. The U.S. isn't just backing Israel, it's embracing Israeli fascism as a model for the Middle East. And when you combine that ideology with America's unmatched military power, you get something terrifying, an unstoppable force of suppression and conquest. That's what's coming. But what did most people do when this story surfaced? They ignored it. Brushed it off as just another Palestine thing. That's a tragic mistake. Because the fate of Palestine is the fate of the entire region. It's a warning, a signal, a preview. Now back to Europe. Trump and his team believe that the continent is on the verge of political collapse. They think that in the coming years, desperate, disillusioned white Christian populations across Europe, people who feel abandoned by their governments, will turn to fascism. And not just as voters, as believers, as soldiers, as foot soldiers in a new international movement. They believe this new fascist international will begin in Germany, then spread to France, the Netherlands, Austria, Italy, and beyond. They see this as the perfect moment. An angry population, a weak political center, an exhausted economy, perfect conditions for far-right movements to explode. And once that happens, America will step in, not to stop it, but to organize it, to shape it, to lead it. They're building a new alliance, but it's not based on freedom or democracy. It's based on fear, authoritarianism, and global militarization. Right now, they're still in phase one, and Trump's recent comments make it clear. During a press event with Norway's Prime Minister, Trump said he was optimistic about major progress on peace in Ukraine within 2 weeks. But then, when asked what concessions Russia had offered, he said, "Well, not taking over the whole country is already a big concession. Let that sink in." Enjoying the truth bombs? Hit like and subscribe to keep them coming. No fluff, just facts that matter. Trump considers not conquering all of Ukraine a generous offer from Putin, as if invading most of a sovereign nation is somehow acceptable. This isn't diplomacy, it's theater, and the audience is Europe. The message is simple. Handle it yourselves, or kneel to someone who will. Trump knows Russia can't take all of Ukraine. That's not the point. The point is to create a crisis. Then step back, then make Europe choose us or them. This is the game. And it's being played with terrifying precision. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Trump and Putin are building something else. A massive money machine. War is profitable. Chaos is profitable. And the institutions that benefit from both, weapons companies, oil cartels, intelligence contractors, are lining up behind them. This isn't just a political play, it's a business model. And Europe is the client, whether it wants to be or not. So, what happens next? Most likely, we'll see a redivision of Europe. Western Europe will cling to US protection, even as that protection becomes increasingly conditional. Meanwhile, Eastern Europe will start drifting toward new regimes, toward Hungary, Slovakia, Serbia, countries with growing ties to Moscow. It's a return to the old fault lines, but in a far more volatile world. And now, let's come back to that voice from Moscow, Timofey Bordachev, director at the Valdai Discussion Club, close to Putin, a man who speaks rarely, but when he does, he speaks volumes. In his latest statement, he declared, Western Europe is once again playing its old role, the main source of global instability. Sound familiar? He continued, to Russia, Western Europe has always been a historic enemy, from Napoleon to Hitler to the bureaucrats in Brussels. Every attempt to dominate Russia, he said, was met with resistance. And that resistance defines their national identity. This is not just history, it's a warning. Bordachev believes that today, Western Europe is lost. Trapped in economic stagnation, desperate for purpose, lashing outward, and once again, they're choosing militarization. They're turning to NATO, turning to arms, all to fight a Russian threat. That might be more myth than reality. But here's the twist. Even Europe's relationship with America is now unstable. Internal divisions in the US are growing. Washington's guarantees are no longer ironclad, and Europe's elite, those who've relied on US protection for decades, are now unsure. What if America walks away? What if Trump says you're on your own? This fear explains a lot. It explains why Europe is growing more aggressive toward Russia, why it's racing to militarize, why it's leaning into extremism. It's not about strength, it's about panic. Bordachev ends his statement with a chilling thought. If this path doesn't lead to outright military catastrophe, Russia will still have to deal with Europe, eventually. He says, they are our neighbor, our former partner, our historical mirror. That's why we must watch their internal shifts, and prepare for the day when real diplomacy becomes possible again. But until then, he makes it clear, Russia will bide its time. It will wait for the right moment. And when Europe is alone, truly alone, it will strike. And it will settle accounts for everything that's happening today. So what does this all mean? It means we are living through a historical transformation. Trump is not just campaigning, he's re-engineering the Western alliance, redrawing the global order, and the message he's sending Europe is brutally clear. Choose. Either come to me, and I'll give you the new rules, or go to Putin, and he'll give you his. But either way, your independence, your freedom, your future, is over. You'll either become a slave, or something worse. That's the crossroads. That's the reality no one dares to speak out loud. But now you know. Stay aware. Stay awake. If you found this video thought-provoking, if you believe more people need to hear what's really going on, then please, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us break through the noise and bring hidden truths to light. We're just getting started.